Hey everybody, welcome back to the Utterly Pointless channel. I'm going to do a speed breakdown of my Tribalist team. What it does is benefit everybody with additional attacks from Red Tether, and that is distributed through secondary traits here, here, and here. So adjacent creatures should not have Red Tether as well, because that would just cause everybody to keep attacking all over the place pretty much infinitely, or up to the amount of attacks that creatures can do per round at least. So there is also a Fermented Hops theme, and that is easily cast through the artifact here. There is a very awesome guild reward where you have to get things way up after level 500 at the guild here. And so this is where Ruby Power is, and there's Emerald Power. So that's where you can essentially steal a spell gem just by casting this, or you can use Ruby Power right here, and this is amazing. So you do have some really good power spells here. So, oh wow, I did not see that. Ooh. Oh wow. Oh man, I'm running right over it. Let me get that changed here. So yeah, you can see that there's always some fine tuning and stuff that can be done. Wow. Let's see. Manage spell gems. I'm getting rid of Living Wizard Hat. And let's see. And you don't really need this to cast twice. It is a sorcery spell, so that's very nice. I'll just add in a chance to defend, I guess. So let's see. Sorry, I was thinking about putting that in the artifact, but I don't have to, so there we go. All right, so this is a breakdown that I'll rush right through, and I won't talk about how much time I'm saving you. Again, I promise. So, Flying Cockatrice, Mutated Cryptbat, Taco Hell, Valor Chimera, Vulcanar, The Lost. Secondary traits: Red Tether, Anticipation from Centaurs, Red Tether from Animation, Arcane Brilliance from Occultists, and Red Tether again, and then Silver Tether, both from Animations. And this benefits from the Lost's ability to treat everybody as adjacent to it. And for artifact and nether gem traits, we've got Master of Cockatrices. We Are Pack allows all creatures to become cockatrices with just a single cockatrice. torn between Scylla and Charybdis. That just essentially gives Cloud of Bats to all creatures on your side. So this essentially turns everything into a great big attack fest. Cloud of Bats again. Relentless Hunger is from the Netherstone. So this essentially is a quasi-splashing. And with Taco's Inflation, this deals some more bonus damage, especially with all the attacking going on. Lingering Incantation. So this is a heavy debuff strategy here. And sorcery spells are cast even at the beginning with the morph spells. And so this just throws debuffs on like crazy with the Valor Chimer's Valiant Heart trait with just so much additional spell casting. And then Abyss Orbs, this is more passive debuffing, so enemies are just gonna wind up in big trouble eventually and steadily. Projection, this just lets the Lost One basically mimic everybody with a good 50% chance. And then Dark Bloom, this is just some extra trait boosting. Not really that necessary with it stealing traits or stealing stats on every enemy death, so, or ally death rather. That's where Desperate Sacrifice comes in for spell gems. Just a minor note about that. Spells that we got here absolutely need Fermented Hops here. Crush Punch, very handy, not truly critical. Chaos Rift, Fermented Hops, Clayman, and Atonement. So a lot of speed and defense reduction there. As for relics, we got Bloodseeker, Petra and Ace, just for extra speed here. And this bat will attack like crazy. Temptation, a little bit of disruption. Rib Cracker, good spell casting. Vitreous, increasing attack damage, very crucial with Vulcanar. And 5740 NG, this basically makes the Lost a kind of, I would say, defender for your team, and that way it will be your holdout when everything else is getting destroyed. Just a lot of chances to resist damage at rank 100. So again, that's your defensive creature, and Life Orb is generous, just like everything else here. So I got Reverberate, so enemies can attack each other. Always having Confused. Utopia works great with Blighted. Life Orb. There's your Mass Resurrection, much better than Requiem. Morph Sorcery. Start a battle boost. Desperate Sacrifice works with Scylla and Charybdis to distribute the bat trait on death. Ruby Power casts this guy's Fermented Hops. Very, very critical thing to remember if you play this build. Morph Sorcery, more intelligence. Ruby Power, that's generous. Stun Beam, just in case there's a really obnoxious enemy. Knock it down the timeline. Morph Death, just to round out your team with defense. Fermented Hops, Panic Attack, just lots of extra attacks. Sapphire Power, that's to make this guy's Fermented Hops cast with 100% chance throughout battle. That will be a game ender, I promise you, for even enemies with ridiculously scaled up health, because it takes off 35% of max health as damage, adjusted for defense anyway. Reverse polarity gets rid of any annoying buffing enemies, that protects your team, that turns debuffs into buffs. So if you're dealing with a really jerky enemy team that has traits that just create tons and tons of debuffs, because you're not going to really have enemies be able to cast too much in the way of spells, thanks to anointments, which I'll get to. You'll still be able to come through that, no problem. So, after reverse polarity, there's direct damage with Steel Storm. It's mass damage. Golden Stout will have the caster cast the spell gem in its artifact spell slot. What I will do is take out extra target, and I'll just make that generous, because I don't want any kind of real randomness with that. So let's see. Because if you think about it, generous will get you 5 extra casts. And there's a lot of charges in that too. So if your clawing Cockatrice does get killed and you're not able to use its artifact, this will let the backup occur here with the Valor Chimera, or of course there is Ruby Power. So this is just a little bit overkill in a good way, and so that is just about it. I've got all the artifacts covered. I got the relics covered, spell gems all discussed. Shoot. Dang. Man. I'm sorry it's late. So I've got the relics all discussed. I've been re-recording this video so many times. I'll give you a spell gem breakdown here. Reverberate, attack all confused creatures, which are always confused on the enemy side thanks to Cockatrice. Utopia deals great damage with Blighted, Life Orb, Mass Resurrection, Morph Sorcery, free boosts at start of battle, Desperate Sacrifice, will trigger Scylla and Charybdis. Ruby Power, cast that artifact spell slot. Cast the artifact spell gem, rather. I'm still trying to save you guys time, I promise you. The other video was way too long. Ruby Power, again, over here with Morph Sorcery, free intelligence, stun beam for targeting very thorny, difficult, annoying enemies. Morph Death, bonus defense, Fermented Hops, more random damage, panic attack, just lots and lots of attacks here to work with Firelord and Vitreous for Vulcanar. Sapphire Power, that will set Fermented Hops as always casting. For the Clawing Cockatrice, reverse polarity turns off enemy debuffs that are put on your team. Steel Storm is mass damage, spell damage. Golden Stout activates your own spell slot in your artifact, and then Tsunami is very good speed reduction, very important. I do have that as an artifact spell over here, but this is manual, so very important. Morph Chaos, extra attack for everybody with Red Tether, very important for giving that a boost before the 20% boosts go in. From Firelord, Vacuum, trait stealing selectively, better than Chaos Rift, because sometimes you do pick up some garbage. Spell Leak, seals all ethereal gems on the enemy's side. Summon Horde, just as a last ditch if you really need that. Greater Dispel gets rid of enemy buffs and your debuffs. And Decay just really knocks down enemy stats when they're annoyingly high. For example, with defense. So that is pretty much that. And then I have anointments here. Dreadnought makes all of your extra attacks hit from Hell Knight. Evoker gives you one additional spell cast. Really awesome again with Fermented Hops. And this is the core of the major damage dealing right here. Shadow Sickness, enemies always have Blighted, and World Breaker doubles that damage. So very sweet to have those two. And then this is your defense here with Singleton. Go for Windrunner as soon as you can by fighting a false god. It's just so awesome to enjoy a little bit of silence from the enemy side, especially when you've got their ethereal gems turned off. I cannot sing the praises of this anointment enough in general. It will speed up your game. You know, you won't deal with enemies that just get into these really obnoxious cycles of sliding your team down the timeline, just really wrecking house. Just love this anointment. Very, very, very recommended in anything that you do. You know, just put your offensive stuff around it. You'll have plenty of room with all the extra peace of mind that you get from Singleton. So go for this like you're making a beeline. Just grab it ASAP. Keep on fighting the false god that has Windrunner as an available anointment source. So that is it for now, guys. I'll let you do the rest, but again, just attack like crazy. Use panic attack in this build. You'll be pretty much on autopilot with all the Valiant Chimera bonus attacks. They'll always hit, so you will never not deal any damage unless you're dealing with a really gimpy enemy team. But that is where the Fermented Hops come in. So if you're not eventually knocking out enemies with massive amounts of attacks and massive increases in the amount of attack damage from Taco's inflation and especially Firelord, you know, that's where you go. Use Tsunami, slow enemies down at that point with a speed reduction. You can also use Steel Storm for massive damage, and then you can use the Fermented Hops. Just go for it. It essentially takes out a scalable amount of health. So if you're dealing with something that has 3 trillion hit points, so what? You're going to be able to deal about 1 trillion worth of damage, and World Breaker will make it 2. So you'll be dealing with additional casts of World Breaker after that. So you'll be looking at 140% of max health before you know it, you're gonna see fermented hops get cast so many times. You're just gonna laugh. So that is it. There are some netherstone bonus traits that may be hard to cobble together, but just use panic attack, and above all, use ruby power when you can get it, or use some kind of gladiator traits or other traits to cast the artifact artifact spell gem in the Klein Cockatrice's artifact slot. So that is it. I mean, you, again, will be dealing massive damage with fermented hops that way through ruby power, and actually just, I believe, attacking with the Cockatrice, because it's got a sword. So if you want to have fermented hops trigger just on attacks, again, which will happen ridiculously awesome, I mean, you're going to have your game sealed up very quickly. Most fights are not going to go very far, especially if you slap a Sapphire Power on this guy. So enjoy. Let me know if you have any improvements that you could recommend. And again, I'm saying this for the first time. It's late, sorry, and I want to close this video up. But this would be for everybody's benefit. But I have put in a lot of TLC and ease of use in this build, so I hope that works for you, and hope you have a great day or night. Thank you.